Hey everyone, it's Michael Equinox Doodles. I'm coming at you with a little special ad break right before our actual main episode. That's because in 2 days, on the 7th, we're going to be starting off a slash week. Essentially, we're going to read slash fiction for the whole week. So every single day, there's going to be a brand new episode where we read some gay yaoi or whatever. It's very weird. Very weird. We have some very great choices. A very bad one, mind you, but a lot of really interesting choices for the fan fictions that we discovered online and we wanted to share with you. Again, some of them are good. One of them is really bad. I'm sorry in advance for that. I had no control over what was going on except for like 1 or 2 fan fictions. So, that being said, starting on the 7th again, going to the 14th, we're going to be releasing new episodes every single week leading up until we get to, well, Valentine's Day, where we read a custom slash fiction created by Sergio, Jake, and Matt. And speaking of Matt, he's actually been upgraded to be a normal host now, so you should be able to see more of him every single week than when we get onto our actual normal schedule. So, speaking of getting onto things, you should check out our Redbubble store, where we have a bunch of shirts and buttons and face masks, all with jokes and stuff from the actual show, as well as a logo shirt in case you want to shill for us too. It'd be really cool of you if you did. And of course, make sure that if you're enjoying our stuff, you share it around. We want to grow the audience and we don't pay for advertisements. So please, if you enjoy the show and you think that your friend would really like the show, or maybe your cousin, I don't know about family members, you might want to be very, kind of curious about that sort of thing. But, whatever. Maybe if your mom really wants to let us read smut to her for a bedtime story, that's cool with me, I guess. To each their own. So let's actually get right into the usual bit of the episode. I will see you guys in the actual episode for once.
Hello, and welcome to So You Think You Can Fanon, the only podcast on the internet that was started as a speakeasy in mid-Philadelphia. I'm your bartender, Greg Chudley. Today we got with us Rocky T. Hunter, our pianist. Say howdy, Rocky.
Howdy, Gregory.
We got our 2 bouncers, Doc Rockty and Equinox.
Hey man, what's up? You're not getting in without a fight.
I'm going to need to see identification, sir.
It's a speakeasy. What the fuck? Who puts IDs in a speakeasy? That's the point.
We do. We're the bouncers.
The only thing that they're going to be bouncing is on this boy's dick.
Oh man, that's not
apparently
okay.
Apparently it's a gay speakeasy. Okay.
Alright, okay.
Anyway,
Screw that, boys.
how's everyone doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good.
Doing all
I have a little bit of a
right.
headache, but I'm fine.
What do you got in store
We're
for
adding
us?
Sonic the Hedgehog into Puyo Puyo Tetris. That's not related. I just think
That's
it's funny.
amazing.
I
Thank you
felt
for
like that
informing
should have been
us.
happening a long time
Puyo
ago.
Puyo Tetris 2. My bad.
Well, now I have to
This
get Puyo
episode
Puyo
is
Tetris.
sponsored. We haven't had a sponsor in a long time. So
No, we
this
haven't.
episode is sponsored by Puyo Puyo Tetris 2.
But by the way, Michael, I have a question
I have an answer. What's up?
for you. So as of right now, I'm going to the different books. I know this isn't the Chain of Memories episode, but I need to ask this question now because I'm in the middle of looking up. But I just wanted to see in general what the lengths of all the Chain of Memories, and they actually get shorter as they go on. But that's not the point I wanted to ask. Did you buy a Chain of Broken Memories version 2 or version 1?
Version 2. I want to get the updated patch.
Get the version 1. We have to compare patch notes.
Because I see that Chain of Broken Memories has a higher rank than the version 2 has a higher rank than the other one, but they appear to be the same length.
We don't know that. We could, for all we know, version 2 might be the final mix, or there might be an alternate ending. We don't know.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I mean, unless the Amazon page is copy and paste it looks like it's the same. Maybe he fixed some. This is my pipe dream, but maybe, just maybe, he added some grammar. No, actually, I'm looking at the I'm looking at the preview, and that's not the case.
Well, unfortunately, it's not that episode today. We're supposed to be doing
not.
something else.
Yes. Or
And I
Jake
have.
has a fan fiction for you.
What I have brought on the table is something more serious. In a franchise, I don't think I'm sure all of us know about, but none of us are super into that I know of. But I personally think it's interesting and would like to delve more into it sometime. And I'm
Is
sure
it Sonic the Hedgehog?
Sergio, if it was Sonic the Hedgehog, then I wouldn't say that I'm not very into it.
Okay.
Try again.
The only thing I'm into is the Bio Lizard. What's up?
The Bio-Lizard and his giant fucking prostate test at the end of Sonic Adventure 2. It's a Vampire the Masquerade fan fiction.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm pretty into Vampire.
I can tell you that I am not into Vampire Masquerade, but it's been sitting in my Steam library for years and I haven't touched it.
Same.
But I plan on
I
touching it.
I don't know a lot about Vampire the Masquerade, although I do know that it is every goth edgy boy's favorite tabletop role-playing game.
Maybe in a long time from now, we can do a Halloween Vampire the Masquerade tabletop special.
Yeah, we
Perhaps.
should
I
do
had
a Let's Play.
I had another
In the
one in
distant-
mind.
So you
the-
think you
oh,
can
okay.
gaming?
So
We
you
can
think,
Twitch
yeah,
stream.
go to our,
So you think
go to our, go,
Did you
so
know
you think
gaming?
you can
Game.
stream, so you think you can stream. Sergio and I are gonna race Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines on it.
Blindfolded
I'm
or
gonna
blind?
win because I'm just gonna win because I know more about the Source engine. There's your fun fact of the day. Did you know that Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines was made on the Source engine?
No way.
I didn't know it was
That's-
a Source game.
You did or you did not?
I did not know it was a Source game.
I
Is it like a
didn't until,
modified
like-
Source engine, or is it
I-
like full vanilla Source?
I think it's full vanilla Source. Let me check the
Gordon?
Let me check the release date.
Hello,
Vampire.
Gordon.
Gordon.
Yeah, it was one of the first games made on the Source engine alongside Half-Life 2 and Postal 3. So,
Neat.
Hello,
Only two
Gordon.
of those are video games.
and considering that the initial release of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is really, really bad, they didn't have a really good start. You know?
I see.
You do need to download a fan patch to get it fun, unless you own it on GOG. But it's got a very big cult following and a sequel coming out soon. That's hopefully not going to be as mediocre as the initial release of the first one. But
Yeah.
let's get
Yeah,
into
yeah,
this
it's like a
fan fiction.
full-on
If-
next.
Let me give you guys some background. Well, even the viewers some background. What the fuck the Vampire the Masquerade is. So, Vampire the Masquerade is like, alright, imagine a bunch of fucking mafia guys, like a bunch of mobs, in like a city, and they're fighting for territory, but they're all vampires. And they're all different
they're all-
different types
Yeah.
of vampires throughout media. So you got like your fucking
Nosferatus and the
Yeah.
Draculas and the Twilights and
and the Alucards.
the Alucards.
Yeah, and if you really want to get spicy, the Masquerade is essentially like a code of order to make sure that the fucking Night Hunters don't fucking kill you. Like you have to like blend in with society, so like nobody knows that you're a vampire. That's the whole gimmick of the game is that you're a vampire.
And
And
it's-
stuff.
And it's really race specific. Like if you're a Nosferatu, you don't look even remotely human, so you can't even show yourself to humans. You have to go through the sewers and suck rats.
Yeah, it's a
Or
wild
unsuspecting
world.
Flicker
people
the
in
light
alleyways.
on and off.
Yeah, and make
Nosferatu.
sloshing sounds on the ceiling. And green slime.
Michael, the walls have always done that.
Oh.
What have you got for us today in Vampire the Masquerade?
This is City of Blood. Max wakes up dazed and confused, finding himself in a new world and fighting to survive in a city filled with kindred, viciously competing for territory and power. Slowly, Max begins to discover this world and uncover what happened to him. Haunted by the discovery, he finds something new to fight for: revenge and belonging.
I'd like to point out that Jacob didn't have a stroke. The author misspelled viciously as viscously.
Yeah, I was like, that's not the right word. I mean, unless they meant viscously. But I don't
No.
think, is that... I mean...
No, that's not even how you spell viscous. They meant
It fucking
viciously.
is. That is exactly how you spell viscously.
Well, viscously isn't
Of a
it's
gluttonous
not a
nature
common
or
word.
consistency, sticky, thick, adhesive. So it could be a pun.
I thought there was another I in there.
No.
It could be a pun, honestly. This is the first thing we're talking about. It's whether or not this author's note is a pun or not. I think it is, honestly.
I'm gonna go with the pun, just because I'm a man of pun.
Because you know what else
I'm
is thick
not
and
gonna give
sticky
him
that
that
isn't
much
cum? Blood.
Okay.
You just
Okay,
had
buddy.
to go there, didn't you?
You have to go with the fucking gloosh.
All right, let's start. Who's gonna be Max and who's gonna be the narrator?
I'll be the narrator.
I'll be Max.
Max had never been in love before, and as he descended the stairs, clutching his Beretta pistol, he could only think of her beautiful face. He flowed down the stairs gracefully, a spring to his step. He reached the bottom and paused, considering what he had been asked to do. He frowned in thought.
How could it be wrong to make that beautiful face smile? ?
Max had never believed in love at first sight, but he'd only met Michaela tonight, and his heart was already hers. He thought of her face again, and his heart seemed to skip a beat. Let's see. Wait, there's two different ways this author is writing thoughts.
I'll go with that.
Okay.
One apostrophed and one italicized. If this is what will make her happy, then this is what I'll do.
He thought resolutely. Any price was worth paying if it meant he could be with Michaela. Max pushed the black door wide and walked into the nightclub. The floor was still packed with people dancing, the bartenders rushing to fill drink orders. Max swept past it all. He knew what he had to do. Even as he weaved through the crowd, his thoughts returned to Michaela. She was so perfect, so dangerous. And he had the chance to make her smile. Max walked through the club's front entrance and headed around back behind the nightclub. Max walked towards a large white van that was waiting by the dumpsters. The music was still audible.
I'm glad that nobody acknowledged what I just said.
Nobody's going to until you read your thought bubble,
No. That's good.
he thought.
Maybe no one will hear this.
As Max approached the van, two large men exited, hauling with them two figures, hands tied behind their backs and black bags over their heads. One of the figures was male and the other was female.
I get to make her happy.
Max was so elated, he practically skipped them. Who was to be large man number one?
I'll be large man number one.
Oh, okay.
Here they are.
One of the large men said. He ripped the bags off of his captives' heads. One of the captives was Max's best friend. The other figure was his friend's sister, the girl they had both been looking for.
So they do have her. That's good.
His friend looked up at him in pure shock. I'll leave this one to Serge.
That's me.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
No.
shit, you're right, that is him. I thought it was going to
Hey,
be the friend.
Chris. Long time no see.
Max said cheerfully. Chris spluttered. I think that's sputtered in confusion.
No, it's spluttered. I'm pretty sure
There's
that's a
definitely
word.
a P in there.
Splut.
But what?
That is also
What are
a
you
word.
doing here, Max?
Splutter is a word.
He finally choked out. Looking over, Chris saw his sister kneeling beside him. She was gagged, and when their eyes met, she began to sob.
It's okay, Cindy.
Chris said, almost crying himself.
It's alright, I'm here for you. I told you I'd come.
This only made her sob harder.
Max, what the fuck are you doing?
He screamed.
Why'd you laugh at that?
I don't know. You were supposed to talk to the owner and give my sister back.
Max heard a melodious, feminine laugh from behind him and looked around. Michaela, the woman he loved. She walked toward him and stood at his back, wrapping her arms around him. Her hands rubbed his hips, slowly grazing lower. Max gave a shudder and shot her a big smile.
I guess I will have to be Michaela. You sent him against me.
She pouted to Chris, but Max tried to protest.
No, I would never.
But she silenced him with her mouth. Michaela let the kiss linger. Then, still stroking his shoulder, she turned... I'm glad she was stroking the shoulder and not something else. Turned to face
She
Chris.
continued to...
Stroke.
Michael,
Woman,
Where were we?
Oh,
he's mine.
he's mine now, I'm afraid.
she said, smiling wickedly.
Max.
She whispered, her breath tickling his ear.
My ear has been tickled.
They don't want us together. If we don't do something, they'll drive us apart. Shoot them. Starting with her.
Michaela pointed toward Cindy. Before Max knew what he was doing, he lifted the gun and pointed it at Cindy's head. She began sobbing even harder, her entire body convulsing as if she were having a seizure. Her large brown eyes rolled wildly at the prospect of her death. They seemed to see nothing, yet everything all at once. One of the large men held her down.
No, you bitch!
Search you, please.
Sorry, the voice I'm doing is
We're
making
supposed
me
to
laugh.
save. We're supposed to save the giggling. I thought we agreed on this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Giggles are meant to be saved.
Chris yelled, kicking frantically at Michaela. The other large man held him down and tied a gag over his mouth. Chris continued to yell, but it was muffled, the words unintelligible.
Now, my sweet boy.
She murmured.
Do as you're told.
But Chris is my friend. That's his sister.
Max looked over at Chris. Chris looked back, his eyes pleading. Max didn't want to disappoint Michaela. In fact, he couldn't think of anything worse, but...
They don't want us to be together, love.
She murmured again.
You do want me, don't you?
She whispered into his ear tantalizingly. Inhaling deeply through his nose, Max could smell her sweet scent wrapping itself around him.
More than anything.
He stuttered, caught up in her embrace.
Then do it.
She
You
said,
better not.
nuzzling his shoulder with her nose.
So we can be happy.
Max pulled the trigger. There was a loud bang as the Beretta fired.
No.
Max heard Chris's muffled screams of agony. Michaela began to laugh uncontrollably. She let go of his shoulder and moved to Chris. She towered over him as he sobbed. Bending down, she grabbed a fistful of his hair and yanked back, forcing him to meet her eyes.
No friend ever served me. No enemy ever wronged me. Whom I have not repaid in full.
She let his head drop to the ground. He squirmed towards her, his face a mask of hatred. Michaela lifted one foot and planted her heel on Chris's back, pinning him to the ground.
Wow. She's powerful.
Wow, he's really
He
just
thought
like,
in
step
awe.
on me.
I think that was
God, I
Chris who
wish
thought
that were
actually.
me.
I'm not sure.
God, I wish that were me.
I don't know why it would be Chris.
Yeah, you're right. The author just uses he like 4 times in a row, and it's clear he's changed character at this point. Max had felt terrible regret, consuming guilt when he pulled the trigger, but it had quickly been replaced with thoughts of Michaela. Chris let out a muffled scream of frustration once more.
Take this one.
Michaela said, digging her heel deeper into his back.
Take him out to the boonies and dispose of him. And her.
She said, pointing to Cindy's dead body. Max averted his eyes, not wanting to look at it. The big men did as she asked. They loaded the van, hauling a flailing Chris with them, and drove off. Michaela turned toward him. She grinned wide, sharp teeth flashing in the moonlight. It was a predatory grin, a grin of sadistic pleasure. Max didn't notice. He was too fixated on her overwhelming beauty.
I did it. I made her smile.
He thought joyously. Michaela opened her arms and held them out.
Oh, what a good boy.
She purred, biting her bottom lip slightly. She strode toward him in her black heels, arms still opened wide in embrace.
Now come here, my beautiful young warrior. Let me
Paw
give
champ.
you your reward.
Come here, my
Heart
little pug
clamoring,
champ.
palms sweaty, knees are heavy.
Knees are weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on my
Look in
sweater.
general- Look in general, please.
Max met her halfway. For those who can't see the Discord, Jacob has just posted a screaming emoji with the impact font text, "Let's fucking go."
Why does he look like a fucking tennis ball? What is with the white?
It's an emoji. But Max met her halfway. She wrapped her arms around his neck, reaching up on her toes. She leaned into him. Foreheads touching, she looked deeply into his eyes. Max wrapped his hands around the small of her back. His legs and arms were trembling. It got so bad that he felt like his entire body was vibrating. He could hardly breathe. All he heard was his heart beating like a drum in his ears. She must have sensed his trembling, for she leaned to whisper in his ear.
Hush, darling. I haven't done anything yet.
She kissed him deeply then. He had never felt such passion before, and his world was consumed by her. She leaned back, and Max breathed heavily, barely able to contain his enthusiasm. Her mouth was a mere inch from his face. She gazed deeply into his eyes, and he was lost.
Beware the rose.
She whispered. Her breath was warm. Everything about her was warm and soft.
Beware the rose, Max, for it has sharp thorns.
Max tried to understand these words, but before he could, she kissed him again, and his only thoughts were of her. She kissed his cheek and down his neck, where she started to nibble, and he sighed in pleasure, closing his eyes.
Can I just say that from the very beginning, as soon as he was walking down that stairs, I was like, he's gonna do something. He's gonna like this isn't gonna go back. Like this dude's got me like hooked. I was like, no, it's like I know he's going to do something terrible for this harlot.
Yeah, there's very
No,
strong
and
prose.
then I was like, okay, he turns around and shoots her. Please, just he turns around and he shoots her. And then he shoots the two guys. They'll get out of there, but no, fucking Max. I'm pissed.
Yeah, Max
Bro,
is a.
Why did we
I have
have to
never
get the
met-
cuck main character?
I have never met a person that was named Max who I didn't like have some small amount of distrust with. That includes Max and Ruby's Max. Fuck that
I'm
white
sorry.
rabbit.
Ouch. I will say though, I think there's some minor plot inconsistencies. Because why does she ask Max to shoot the girl, but then tells the two guys to take them out to the van and do it out in the middle of nowhere? It's just a bit weird.
Well, they've been looking for his Chris's sister for some reason. They want her dead.
Right, but why not bring Max out in the middle? It's just odd that she tells
I
the
think
boys
Chris-
to take them out in the
I
middle of
think
nowhere
Chris
afterwards.
I think Chris owed her a debt, and then killing the sister was repaying the debt, and then she didn't.
Yeah,
I
because
just
she wants. I think she's trying to like, all right, is Max trustworthy? So she has Max kill the sister, and then she has her goons just
Yes,
But
that's
she is
correct.
obviously a succubus. Like that's her entire like gimmick is that she's a succubus.
Basically,
I think she's just a
regular vampire. They can just. She's a. I think the term is a Toreador. She's probably part of the Toreador clan, which is the super sexy you wanna fuck him clan.
No, the Toreadors are the artsy ones.
Yeah,
What's the sexy clan then?
I don't remember, but it's not the Toreadors.
It's a sexy clan.
The Toreador are a clan of vampires known for being the most beautiful, sensual, seductive, emotional, and glamorous.
Oh shit! See, I told you I don't know anything about Vampire the Masquerade.
But it just seems odd that she would do this in the middle of the city with Max instead of taking them all out to the middle of nowhere. It's a minor thing. I really like the prose of this. It reads cleanly, it reads clearly. And I knew that I thought it was just weird shit writing at the start, but then I realized, oh crap, he's under a vampire spell. And then it all clicked on why it was focusing so much on Michaela. But I like it.
Yeah.
Part 1, City of Blood, Chapter 1, New Beginnings. The world was dark, a pitch black shroud that Max assumed would never end. He knew he was alive, or at least he thought he was. His grogginess had evaporated, but darkness still covered his vision. The first thing he had been aware of was the ringing in his head, a slow and constant thrum. Alongside it, a slapping noise like water poured onto mud.
Is thrum a word?
Yep.
Yes.
That's a dumb word.
Well,
I'm
you
gonna
need to stop
thrum.
being dumb. You need to stop being
Well-
dumb and read your thought bubble.
I can't be dead.
He thought.
Death would be painless, right?
Slowly, he reached out his hands. They didn't go far before he felt a hard and grainy surface. Kicking out his feet, Max found the same obstacle.
I feel like I'm an animal caught in a trap.
He tried pushing upward, but it was like pushing a wall. He pushed harder, and his muscles burned from the strain, but nothing happened. After several more futile attempts, Max began ramming it with his shoulder, trying to break free. But all it earned him was an intense pain.
Hold on. My brain lost where I am.
Breath.
Oh, there we go. Breathe. Stay calm. Fear is the mind killer.
Max wasn't sure if it was his own thought or the words of a wiser man. Max
It sounds like the
wasn't
words
sure
of
anything
Coach
anymore.
Kamigawa, Matt.
Trying to remember even the smallest details made the thrumming in his head worse. He grunted in pain, and as if on cue, the thrumming deepened to an almost unbearable level. The details that had led to his current circumstances were hazy at best. He could hardly move an inch, only see darkness, and only hear his own breathing. And God, the pain in his head hit a crescendo. It was as if someone had cracked his skull open and poured his brain into a saucepan like frying an egg.
Breathe. Breathe.
Since he couldn't
Pretty
remember
sure,
even...
pretty sure breathe has an E at the end, right?
Yeah, this was breath. I'm pretty
That's
sure.
true.
Yeah, that's weird. Since he couldn't remember even the smallest details, it was surprised that Max didn't know where he was or how to escape. That was a lie, though, wasn't it? Max knew one thing. If he closed his eyes, he could see her face. A face more beautiful than any mortal. A terrifying smile. A delighted grin wider than the Cheshire Cat from his favorite children's story.
Called the
Teeth.
Cheshire Cat, motherfucker.
Cheshire.
I thought it was always Cheshire. I've always heard it pronounced Cheshire.
Cheshire. No, it's French, dude. It's Cheshire.
Alright.
Cheshire.
Bro, all the French people are gonna fucking hang.
All the French people are gonna block us on Twitter.
Yeah.
They're gonna hang us
just-
like they did
Well, I
Louis
just looked it up on
XIV.
Google and it's pronounced Cheshire.
Really.
Whoever said that on Google should shut up. Name one time I've been wrong. You can't.
I mean, there's too many to bring up, but...
Nope, never.
Teeth a gleaming white beacon of cruelty with sharp and unnaturally long canines protruding from her grin. The details flooded his mind, but he couldn't recall the bitch's name.
I remember that I did something bad, something horrible, something unforgivable.
The memory seemed to be within his grasp, but like mist across a lake, before he could seize it, it was gone. Max felt his chest constrict, and he closed his eyes tightly.
No.
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 The shame and guilt mixed with the constant thrum in his head, and it was enough to rival the worst hangovers he's ever had. The thrum grew deeper and louder, until Max thought he would be driven insane.
I'm in hell.
Max whispered feebly, but even his whimpering only enhanced his pain. His breath quickened, coming in short gasps, and he placed a hand on his chest to help slow his heartbeat. And then he felt nothing. Even in his panicked mind, Max knew his heart should be racing faster than the turbocharged engine of his '69 Mustang. Okay, that's a sentence that one of us would write.
That's
Max
true.
tried
That's
again.
only something I would have put into my Halo fanfic. Only
Yeah.
instead of 69 Mustang, it would have been like the
Warthog.
UNSC's own Warthog.
Max tried again to feel his heartbeat. Then, he put a hand to his throat to feel the pulse. and there was nothing.
UNSC
Nothing.
issue M12 Force Application Vehicle Warthog.
There was nothing. The irrefutable fact pushed him further to hysteria.
I'm in hell. I'm in hell!
It started out as a low sob and peaked into a shrill scream.
I'm in hell. I'm in hell. I did something bad and now I'm in hell.
That was when the thrumming ended, with a loud thunk. Let's see, this looks like an old guy, yeah. You ain't in hell, youngin'. At least, not the way you mean. Not quit that hollering. Thunk, thunk. I can get you out of this mess. The wispy voice of the strange man from far away was followed by 3 more thunks and several thrums. Then, as if God had said, "Let there be light," Max's world of darkness ended with a brilliant light shining above him. Standing over Max's prison was a man in a silhouette, Max's personal savior from hell. The flashlight in his savior's hand blinded Max, and he surged forward toward the light, his muscles stiff and straining from lack of use. Before he was able to step out of his prison, strong hands caught and held him. Say, ain't no hell, Thinny. Just a wooden box that got mighty hot.
I gotta run to let the dog out. Give me like 1 minute.
Alright. Well, time to make a cut. Let's see, can we mark this for where the cut should be?
I mean, I can mark it in post.
I know, but make it easier for you to find in post.
I mean, there's just gonna be a loud silence after reading this.
That's true.
I can also just look for the "and here's a break."
Yeah.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
We can continue.
With a grunt, the man pulled Max out of his would-be grave. The cool night air gently kissed his skin. Max saw the stranger for the first time, a man in his late 40s or early 50s. He had patches of gray hair on either side of a balding head. He wore circular glasses that gleamed in the moonlight. His face was not attractive. The dirt on it didn't cover the gray and white stubble of a poorly kept beard. I knew you'd be here, the man said with the excited tone of a kid opening a Christmas present early. I had a vision, you see, and the visions never lie. Except when they do, of course. The man let out a shrill giggle. Max had a difficult time processing the man's words, and he was becoming used to not understanding anything at all. Dazed, Max looked down at his grimy and dirt-covered outfit.
My clothes.
Max wrinkled his nose.
They're so filthy.
Ah, but introductions are in order, ain't they, Theddy? I'm Chuck, a Malkavian of the line of Cain. Yes, we Malkavians see more than all the others of our kind. That's why I'm here with you on such a fine night.
Jake.
Vinny. Malkavian.
This man was making less sense every time he spoke. The man saw his confusion and smiled. Max waited for
Sorry,
more
I was
explanation.
mid-drink.
That's fine. But the man just kept smiling.
Hello, my name is Max. What's good?
Your name is steady to me and is likely to remain so, the man interrupted, chuckling. Turning away from Max, he said, I never bother to learn the names of thiddies. Most of you don't last a year nohow. You hungry? Chuck gestured behind him, and Max noticed another, slightly older man. White, clumpy hair and a round lump of a belly, the man wore a vacant expression. A dribble of spit trickled from the corner of his mouth. The first thing Max was aware of was the man's heartbeat. A steady thrumming that made Max's mouth water.
Thrum.
Eat up.
Every time, take a shot every time they say thrum in this story.
Don't do that.
Eat? You feel better? Then we can talk. Chuck said. Max felt his legs moving towards the old man, even though he hadn't consciously commanded them to. He felt a hollow void open up within the center of his body, and before he could stop and think about what he was doing, he stood next to the old man. "That's it, Thinny. Let your instincts take over." Max let his body guide itself. Max bent over the old man, reaching his mouth down to the man's neck. His expression remained vacant. Slowly, instinctually, Max started to suck on the man's neck and veins. He sucked deep, but nothing seemed to happen. Chuck strode to where Max was standing. "Open that mouth of yours and say, 'Ah,'" Chuck demanded. He found it very difficult to pull his mouth away from the man's neck, but did so. Max's saliva splattered and ran down the man's neck. His expression was as vacant as ever, and Max opened his mouth and let Chuck inspect it. You're missing some vital equipment there, Thinny. Whoever heard of kindred without fangs? Not me. But don't worry, I can help you with that." With a big grin, Chuck raised his hand to the man's throat. In the pale light of the moon, Max saw the old yellowed fingernails of Chuck's hand morph into razor-sharp and black claws. His first thought was, demon. Chuck ran the sharp claw across the man's neck. Blood spurted from the wound. Chuck jumped gracefully back, avoiding the cascade of hot blood. The man never even flinched, and the world around Max started to lose focus. Everything within his vision turned to a blurry mess. The open grave and the trees, the man, Chuck. Max was not aware of anything except for the delicious, sanguine fluid bubbling from the wound and running down the man's neck. Before he knew what he was doing, Max was on top of the man, lapping up the warm fluid like a person dying of thirst. The man never once made a sound. He simply stood there, allowing Max to feed. When the world became more focused again, the first thing that Max was aware of was that the man was lying beneath him. The man's eyes had taken on the equally vacant but entirely more morbid expression of death. Max felt better, as if he had gotten rid of a particularly nasty hangover. It hardly even registered that he'd just killed a man. He heard a shrill giggle and looked to see Chuck staring at him, eyes bright with humor. The corners of Chuck's mouth twisted up into a snarling grin as he strode toward Max. "Never gets old. Here, clean yourself up." He offered Max a black handkerchief that would graciously mask the color of the blood. "First time's always the messiest. I would know." Max stumbled towards Chuck and took the handkerchief from him, barely able to register the words.
"I suppose I should thank you?"
Max said, wiping the blood from his mouth. He looked down despondently at the handkerchief and couldn't even see a drop of blood.
Almost like it never happened.
"You shouldn't, actually. In fact, Denny, you're gonna be dead in a few months, probably. Your types never last long."
My type?
He asked curiously. Chuck smiled again. "Yeah, your type. Thin bloods. Y'all Finnies are the weakest in the blood, the furthest removed from Cain, the first kindred. Most of my kind looks down on you thin bloods, and if the Camarilla catches you, let's just say the afterlife ain't always painless." Chuck licked his lips, smiling at Max. "What do you think about that, Thinny?" Max stumbled backwards, away from the body. He noticed that his hands were shaking violently. Breathing deeply, Max began to rub his neck to pacify his growing fear.
"This can't be happening."
He thought.
Think back. I don't know who I am or what I am."
Max said. Again he closed his eyes, trying to remember the events that had led him to this pitch-black prison. He vaguely recalled crowds of people running away, trampling anything or anyone who got in their way. He heard the screaming, people shouting for him to stop. Most of the voices he didn't recognize, but some he did. Max tried to concentrate on those familiar voices, tried to identify them. Instead, all he saw was that fucking woman's face again. His hands began to tremble in anger as he let out an involuntary snarl. Thinny? Hey. Thinny! Max blinked his eyes open to find Chuck waving a hand in his face. He wore a confused but slightly amused expression. Max got the impression that not much confused Chuck. "Are you awake, are you? Good. We should leave soon. This isn't territory I'm familiar with, and I'd rather not find out who owns this part of New Orleans. Kindred in this city have been very territorial ever since the recent killings. So, Chuck gestured with an arm toward a muddy gravel road and a dingy white, windowless van. After you, Thinny. Max walked past Chuck slowly. Max wasn't entirely sure he trusted the old geezer, but Chuck had dug him out from that insufferable box, and Max didn't give much of an alternative. Looking back at his would-be grave, he shuddered. The grave had been dug below a gnarled sawtooth oak. The soggy swamp ground and the man-made gravel road were the only solid pieces of ground within miles. Swamps lay all around. As Max walked towards the van, the ground made squelching noises with each step.
Why was I in that coffin, Chuck? When I try to remember how I got there, my head aches and all I can see is the face of a woman.
Well, Finny, when humans turned into kindred, they suffer a sort of amnesia. What they do remember from their previous life has a strong emotional charge to it. Even now, I can remember my wife. Not many details, but the loves kept the memory alive, he explained. Max began to vigorously shake his head no.
That's impossible. Every time I see your fucking face, I feel as if I've swallowed acid. My entire body burns.
Max noticed he'd stopped walking. His hands were balled into fists, and Chuck looked over at him, favoring Max with a toothy grin. Max was beginning to hate those grins of his. They seemed to say, I know your secrets better than you, but I won't tell. I never said the emotional charge had to be love, Thinny, Chuck said, turning back towards the van. Most of us kindred hate our size. Most of us never forget that they made us into monsters. Chuck pulled the door of the van open and slid into the driver's seat. Now, let me take you somewhere where we can talk a little safer. Dawn's a-comin'. Max slid into the passenger side. He was still unsure of this new world. This world filled with darkness.
Wow. That was actually a good fan fiction.
Thoughts? Yeah.
That was quite
You know
good.
what?
That was really good.
You know what
I wish-
thought I have, though?
What?
You'll never guess. It's time for an actually well-placed commercial break.
Yeah.
And welcome back.
Actually, can you keep going? I need to get
So
water.
yeah, this was really good. I see that it was only written 3 days ago, so there's bound to be more.
Yeah.
Oh, really? This is an early one.
Yeah, January 10th.
Yeah, I do see that he wrote a Warriors fan fiction back in 2014, so this dude is back.
Oh, fuck.
I'm
Warriors?
Jake, I hope you know you got really, really lucky, because I assume you sorted by update date.
Uh-huh.
You just go to Vampire and find this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredibly lucky. Almost everything on the most recent pages for fanfiction.net is complete trash.
Uh-huh.
I like this, though. This was good.
Yeah.
I wish
was
Max
good.
had more of a personality.
Maybe he'll characterize him more.
I mean,
Yeah.
we started off with him being hypnotized, and now he has amnesia.
That's true.
Yeah. I'm glad I started to realize that, so it's okay. So maybe he wasn't doing that of his own volition. He was glamored or whatever you want to call the hypnotist. I don't know what they call it in that, but I think in True Blood they call it glamored, getting glamored.
But yeah, the prose is very strong. The paragraphs flow into each other very well. I think the only problem is I think sometimes there's a few grammar problems, some spelling mistakes, but honestly, if this was tuned up and edited, I would buy this as a book. Probably. Very, very good. What was the name of this? Vampire the Masquerade, City of Blood. Nice.
I think this might be something we should revisit in the future once he's
That's what I
done
was
some.
thinking.
You know, I just what was the name of that Spider-Man fan fiction we read?
We can go back and
You
look.
remember? Yeah, let's see if they've updated that actually,
Okay.
because I know that was one we really liked.
I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna get some water. Keep going.
Okay.
Okay, let me see if I can find it on our episodes. Is this the Bionicles one? Yes, the Christian Bionicle fanfiction.
Good time.
Never forget. Never forget.
That's funny.
I don't see it.
Let me check Spoofy.
Did we talk about anything else in that episode?
I don't know.
No, but it wasn't called Spider-Man.
Oh,
something,
sheep and wolves.
Yeah, that's it.
Sheep and wolves. Yeah, I see it on my history. Did we read the chapter 2?
I think we only read one chapter.
Yeah, he hasn't updated it.
That's a shame.
It was last updated December 20th. He might come back to it.
Probably. I think it's like a multi-part series already, so I'd be surprised if he doesn't. Yeah, I like that.
I'm trying to load his author page to see if he did anything else. But,
I like the choice of making it like from the point of view of someone who has amnesia, because then like people who are new to the franchise can also understand what's going on. Like we had no problems.
I'm familiar with Vampire the Masquerade, but I've never played a game of Vampire the Masquerade.
I know what it is, and that's about the extent.
Yeah, I know of it, but I don't know.
I'm sure most people just play the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how many people know the tabletop game. But...
Yeah, which is funny because the
tabletop
came first.
Yeah.
Guy who wrote Sheep and Wolves wrote 3 more fan fictions afterwards, so he's still active at least.
That's good. He might have just lost interest in Sheep and Wolves. The thing I'm usually most curious about in terms of like when people talk about like tabletop games, even if it's like Vampire the Masquerade, like where the video game is what people remember. It's I really like because I'm a big fan of like other tabletop games that aren't just Dungeons and Dragons. My favorite one is Masks: A New Generation, which is super good. But a majority of them are powered by the Apocalypse games. I don't know how how Vampire the Masquerade is done. I remember it's done through like
a
D10
system.
Yeah, okay, so it's not a powered by the Apocalypse system. Because powered by the Apocalypse uses D6. And usually they're super quick and easy to set up and stuff. So
yeah, I know Vampire the Masquerade is very not quick or easy to set up.
Well, yeah, because you have to do a lot of the world stuff.
I know they just released. I don't know what it's called, but there's a new version of Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah, the 5th edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm again another thing I'm aware of, but I've never really played.
Well, maybe we can do it sometime for.
Who knows? I'd be down to do like one shots of other tabletop games, just as like a spice of fluff, here and there, just to I guess gauge interest on the actual like plot, maybe for like future continuations, or if it's just just like a hey, this could be a fun thing, like just for Halloween or something.
Since I guess we're on the topic of vampires, what is your guys' favorite vampire media?
Big fan of Castlevania.
Yeah, I would say Castlevania.
I like my Alucard.
I can't really say Warhammer because that's cheating, but I like the vampires in Warhammer.
No, I see. I see. We don't have some Helsing in there.
The continued trend of Warhammer fans never stop talking about Warhammer.
It's true. I don't know what you want from me.
I'm just saying that I keep on getting evidence for it, and now I'm just like, yeah, that's probably true.
There is a lot of evidence. Warhammer fans don't stop talking about Warhammer because Warhammer is relevant to everything. Because there's video games and books and fucking comics and audio dramas,
cinematics.
What about you, Matt? What is your favorite piece of vampire media?
The only piece of vampire media I've consumed in the last 6 years was Helsing Abridged.
Twilight.
So I'd say before that, it would be well, I haven't seen Castlevania, so I can't say that, although it probably would be that if I had seen it. But before Hellsing Abridged, there was a little manga called Rosario Vampire,
Oh
I'm
no.
sorry.
which was very weird.
I'm so sorry. I knew
started
someone
out
who
as
said
a-
that that was like their favorite anime ever, and I didn't know what to think about them.
Oh yeah, no, the anime is trash. The manga is very interesting though.
Isn't it like a fucking dating sim?
Well, the interesting thing is, it starts out as a sort of cheap. Oh, you know, I get to draw a lot of panty shots for the boys to get them interested, kind of manga, and then
You mean Soul Eater?
yeah, but then 20 chapters in, I don't know what happened, but the author was like, I have really good art. I want to draw people getting fucking murdered by my main character, and so it just turns into a shonen battle manga with a lot of really violent fights that are drawn way better than any manga has any right to be drawn when it starts out with a bunch of stupid, cheap harem panty shot shit.
Oh man. Because I'm
I
currently.
can't remember the ending, but it was interesting.
I guess my favorite piece of vampire media being that I've never once consumed a single piece of Castlevania media.
You should play Symphony of the Night.
As someone who fucking hates Metroidvanias, play Symphony of the Night.
Symphony of the Night is poggers as hell.
Yeah, if you
I
want
mean,
to.
I know it's one of the things I should play, but I'll probably never end up playing it.
I'm gonna make you play it
but
next time
my
we hang out. How about that, bitch?
What if I don't want to?
I'm sorry.
Hellsing Ultimate is definitely up there, both the abridged and the original series. I love blood, I love gore, I love violence. So I would even say that Hellsing sometimes takes it to a level where even I'm uncomfortable, but I love it. It's great.
I can't think of anything
Other
that's made me uncomfortable from the amount of gore. Recently,
I don't like gore and I don't like blood a lot. So for me to say I enjoy Castlevania, especially with the Netflix series,
the anime is so
Yeah.
good.
Because there's a part. It's like halfway through the series where where shit hits the fan in Hellsing, where the Nazi vampires have begun like their attack on Britain, and like the hordes of like zombies are just snacking on people. It's really like graphic.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it's really brutal. Besides that, I think live action wise, because I think live action has just been at least in recent times been a shit show for the vampire genre. I would say that the HBO series True Blood was really good into the 8th season, and then they kind of dropped the ball on it hard.
My sister's been watching the Vampire Diaries, and I hate it.
I loved the Vampire Diaries for the first 4 seasons. I remember when that was going on, and I was digging it.
I want you to go home.
look, okay.
I'm sure if I watched it now, I'd be like, yeah, this is trash. But like when it was on, it was like, yeah, this is it.
Look, as someone who absolutely loves Doctor Who, it's okay to like the Vampire Diaries.
Okay,
How do those
I
two
think
things have
Doctor Who
anything
is more
Because-
classy. I
Well,
think
Doctor Who's
Doctor's
definitely more classy, but like as soon as like they fucked up with Peter Capaldi, because like his
What?
character.
I
No,
love
his-
Peter Capaldi's Doctor.
I love Peter Capaldi, but as soon as like he was like a very mean doctor, and then they were just like, no, he's fun now, smiley face. I didn't like that.
That's fair. Okay, I can't.
I
argue
have
with
no like
that. I was about to start
hard opinions
throwing
on
hands.
Jodie Whittaker. If
I've
anyone
never
asks,
seen
I'm a big
her
fan
as
of
the
this.
Doctor.
Yeah, I haven't seen her as
I'm
the
a
Doctor
big-
yet.
I'm a big fan of
I like
women,
Peter.
so she's got my approval.
I like Peter
No,
Capaldi.
she sucks.
David Tennant will always be my Doctor. I'm iffy on Matt Smith.
Tom Baker. is
I
Doctor.
don't know if Jodie Whittaker would have been a good doctor if they didn't have Chris Chudley writing it, but it's it's not good.
Chris Chudley, is that your brother, Greg?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
They
don't talk about
gave the
him.
doctor a name and an origin story.
What?
Yeah, wasn't
they
she like
made
a
him
fucking
a
child
chosen
of
one.
time or something? Like she
What-
was
was
like,
Yeah. So get this. Gallifrey is back for the bajillionth time, and the Master blows it up. And the Master explains to the Doctor that she is the Timeless Child, and that a long time ago, the Time Lords discovered this alien being from another dimension called the Timeless Child, and the Timeless Child could regenerate infinitely. And then they siphoned her power, so all Time Lords could regenerate. And the Doctor is the super important, and I think that not even a Time Lord. I'm pretty sure they even go with like what the child was originally named or something like that. Because the Doctor meets like this like black woman doctor, and the Doctor's like, "What? I never turned into you." It's like, "Oh, all will be explained," and then they explain in the finale that the Doctor is regenerated a potentially an infinite amount of times and can continuously regenerate forever, so we can keep having more and more Doctor Who.
Well, that truly
Oh my
defeats the
God,
whole
that
purpose of the entire franchise.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
technically Matt Smith cheated because the Doctor, like, it
Yeah,
makes
I
sense for
already
the Time Lord
thought-
to
I
have
already
12
thought that was dumb.
regens.
I will
Yeah,
say,
like,
I
the
thought that was dumb.
having 12, the Doctor having 12 regenerations makes sense because that's like a clock. I can sort of get away with like 24 instead, because then it would be a 24-hour time. No,
I can at least buy him getting like some extra ones, but just the whole time he could just infinitely generate whatever he wanted to.
But I'm really annoyed that not only did they just retcon in another Doctor just the whole time. Like, they've done nothing with the 8th Doctor, like, at all, other than that shitty movie. And then it's, like, implied that he's the one that fought in the Time War with Dalek. And then it's just
no, that's the War Doctor.
No, that's the War Doctor now. I mean, mind you, I saw that movie in theaters, and it was pog as hell.
The Day of the Doctor?
Yeah, it was
Dude,
super
I love
cool.
the...
I saw it in theaters, and it was super
caters
good.
to my need of David Tennant being the Doctor, so I'm okay with it.
But then at the end of the can I finish what I was saying? At the end of the Smith era, they're implying like there's no more Doctors because he also threw away one of his regenerations apparently with River.
Yeah, with
he like donated to River, which was weird.
No, that's not how regeneration should work.
And then
because he used some of the regeneration energy for that. But wasn't there also something with his hand too?
Yeah, I think it was the clone that was his hand, and then giving.
Yeah, no, he can siphon like the energy to something. I just don't think that he should be able to do that and have that count as a regeneration.
I'm being yelled for.
Well, I think it's because I think the reason why it counted is because he like almost completely revived her with it.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I'm also one of the component people who's like resurrection is not a really fun idea. Like if you're gonna kill somebody, at least make them stay dead, or at least bring them close to death so that way they can be saved. But like if you're just gonna fucking kill them off, just fucking kill them.
Oh no! It was when in the Stolen Earth, David Tennant gets killed by a Dalek, but he puts his regeneration energy into the severed hand to fully regenerate again.
Yeah. Again, David Tennant's my favorite Doctor, so I'm gonna give him a free pass because I fucking love David Tennant as the Doctor. But fuck, dude, I don't like that they retcon a lot of shit. But looping back to vampires, because we went on a tangent about Doctor Who instead of vampires. I really need to watch the Twilight series. It's like on my to-do list of like fucking dumb shit that I need to watch.
I heard Twilight. I'm disappointed.
Also, Jacob, the moment with the 10th Doctor we're thinking of is in the Stolen Earth. He gets exterminated by a Dalek, but he shunts the regeneration energy into his severed hand to prevent himself from fully regenerating. He just he keeps his appearance and personality.
And then the hand turns into a clone, and then goes to live with
yeah.
What's her name?
Also,
Blonde.
Not Amelia.
I know who you're talking about.
Not River or
Rose?
Amy. Rose.
No, it's not. How I thought
It's
Rose had a
Rose.
fucking fiance. That was Mickey.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Oh, okay.
She gets put into another
yeah,
dimension, and then
Oh, right.
marries a clone Doctor.
Oh, by the way, if you want to know the level of quality of the 13th Dr. Jodie Whittaker, there's an episode where Jodie Whittaker and the Chum Bucket Pals, they go back to Salem, and Jodie Whittaker is waving her sonic screwdriver all over the place, and of course the Salem people are like, she's a witch. And then Jodie Whittaker's like, if I was a man, I would be getting crucified and labeled as a witch. And it's like, you are the almighty historian doctor. You know that if you're waving your futuristic technology around in Salem, you're gonna get labeled as a witch.
Yeah. That's a long process. So, any last remarks before we wrap up this episode of So You Think You Can Fanon?
Vampire horny.
Okay,
I remember when Doctor Who was good.
I do too. Jake?
Rest in peace.
Alright. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a good one.
Goodbye.